Welcome to the broadcast, everybody. Let's begin with a comment from a basketeer of note and international reputation, because I like to share the comments that come in from the great and good. We do it quite often here on the broadcast, don't we? This comment is from Mr. Philip Waghorne. Thank you for your comment, Mr. Waghorne, who said, "Hello, just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Philip Waghorne, born in Yorkshire, one of triplet boys, living in Italy after having worked all my professional life as a designer in Paris for Christian Dior, Lanvin and Nina Ricci, then in Japan for Takeo Nishida, and in Italy for Amina Rubinacci. I adore you, your fashion elegance." Well, thank you, my dear. Don't judge me too harshly today, my dear. I just dragged this out of my box of charity shop finds, which it's been on the cards for a few months, but I sort of went off it. But today I was desperate, so I chucked this on. Don't judge me too harshly, but you know, it's all the fun of the fair, isn't it, my dear? The dressing up box of life, that's my attitude. Sorry to interrupt your comment. Your fashion elegance, your wonderful sense of fun, wit and reason. I eat up every fruity morsel you honour us with. Oh, my head. My halo's gonna burst. Such competence and total commitment to our country, king and all his family. Almost, that is to say. Yes, quite. Sincere and heartfelt thanks. Long may you reign. Well, thank you so much, Philip. That's very kind of you to say so. We welcome you here into the fruit basket, don't we, fellow basketeers? Of course we do. Mr. Waghorne is a maven and a legend of fashion, actually. So we should be honoured that he joins us as a basketeer. And he designed not just for the house of Lanvin, but also for Marielle Lanvin, who reigned over the house during the 80s, from 81 to 89. It was her tenureship. She was the wife of Bernard Lanvin, heir to the dynasty itself, the Lanvin dynasty, the empire. Empires within empires. Actually, you know, the fashion ateliers are much like royal households. There is quite a kinship there and a familiarity. Kings and queens, many queens, my dear, as you can imagine, in the world of fashion. And Philip is noted as the only designer to be hired by both Dior and Lanvin, and he was actually adored by Marielle Lanvin, and he adored her, so much so that she became Philip's greatest influence, and she was an extremely glamorous lady of her era. And Philip was a worker. He was not into the socialising, he wasn't into the parties and the gay dinners. He was a worker. You can take the boy out of Yorkshire, can't you, Philip? You can take the boy out of Yorkshire, but you can't take that working spirit from the Yorkshireman. Get it? Got it? Good. Absolutely, my dear. A worker. So that was quite rare. And as a result of that fact, he did not become a household name. That's why most of you won't have heard of him, unless you're in the know. If you're in the know, and it counts, then you will understand who we are talking about here, and you will understand that we are being joined by an icon of the fashion world. So I'm delighted to have you here, and I know that my basketeers will be thrilled. Welcome to the broadcast and the fruit basket. His Royal Highness Big Willy has been rocking the kingdom this week, back with a bang, returning to work and returning to duty with his summer beard still in play. And that was not a reference to Catherine. Isn't that curious? His Royal Highness kicked off Royal Autumn with the passion project that is closest to his heart, visiting the Homelessness Reframed exhibition at the Saatchi Gallery in Chelsea. He was reunited with Dave Martin. Do you remember Dave, his pal, the big issue seller, who's become a great friend to the Prince? Homelessness Reframed is designed to bring life to the breadth and complexities of homelessness and aims to help the public understand the stories of those who have experience in the matter. And interest has been phenomenal, with the expectation of 5,000 visitors exceeded fivefold in the last 23 days of the 6-week show, at least 25,000 visitors. It's an astonishing success. And William met with the artists who contributed new commissions to the exhibition, and he met with Rankin, the darling of photography, who photographed the late Granny Liz. And what do I think of the beard? Well, I've told you before, I would actually prefer him without the beard, but he still looks absolutely fabulous with it. I'd prefer to see his fabulous jawline on full display, but it's nice to mix it up from time to time. And I will tell you that men with beards, whether to your taste or not, feel divine. Divine! It's one of my favourite things to be kissed and nibbled around the neck, or wherever takes a gentleman's fancy, my dear. You know, eaten, absolutely eaten with that bit of stubble. And it doesn't have to be scratchy or too uncomfortable. Some come up in all kinds of rashes and things if they get too carried away. But if the gentleman knows what he's doing, then, you know, it can be a fabulous sensation. So I'm sure it's been an absolute tonic to Catherine over the summer. An absolute tonic for her. Happy holidays. Happy holidays with her big, hairy Willy. Sir Ian McKellen has been causing a commotion in the press for siding with Harry over all the royal kerfuffling. Or should I say Dame Ian McKellen? Because Dame Ian is a bit of an old school queen, isn't she? Rather like me. And has the odd catty moment. Now, I am not disparaging Dame Ian for having a different opinion to most of us, my dear. Totally entitled to it. But it's quite obvious, because in this interview with the Times, it says that Sir Ian's copy of Spare is open by his side. So he's been drinking the Kool-Aid and sipping up the detritus that the Sussexes have been serving up. But in doing so, actually, he reveals himself later on towards the end of this interview, and I'll tell you why. He reveals himself as a similar character to the Sussexes in some ways, I'm sad to say. And this is despite being decorated and awarded a knighthood by the late Queen in 1991, because he goes on to slag her off in these interviews. Remember, he did take a nasty tumble a few weeks ago. He fell off the stage at the age of 85, and actually I felt very sorry for the bloke and I wish him very well, but perhaps he took a bump to the head when he fell and took a tumble. It is healthy to hear various different takes on the royal family, so we'll hear him out. But he said, imagine being born into the royal family. I've been in public life a bit, but these people are in prison. They can't do anything normal. Can you imagine having to be nice to everyone you talk to? Well, he's got a point there, my dear. I certainly can. The Queen, I'm sure, she was quite mad at the end. That's what he says. She was mad. And on the few occasions I met her, she was quite rude. When I received a medal for acting in 2008, Companion of Honour, she said, "You've been doing this for an awfully long time." I said, "Well, not as long as you." I got a royal smile for that, but then she said, "Does anyone still actually go to the theatre?" "That's bloody rude when you're giving someone a medal for acting," he says. It meant, does anyone care a fuck about you? Because I don't. Now off you go. This is what he says. His impression was of what the Queen meant when she was speaking to him. Well, isn't that revealing? I found this jolly revealing because it means that he is a fully signed up member of Harry and Meghan's Eternal Victims Club. He is evidently not a companion of honour, but a companion of victimhood. The victims we know so well, they shine in your eyes when they kiss and tell. Then he goes on to do a Meghan and role-plays a moment of greeting with the Queen. Remember when she role-played the curtsy? Well, he role-played a brusque handshake that he received from the Queen in front of the interviewer, which he says resulted in her sort of shoving him away at the end of the handshake with some force. Now, of course, he's camping it up for the interviewer, surely. But he says that was her handshake and it meant go, 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 go. Well, this could be true, but isn't it curious? Out of all the possibilities of what the Queen's intention was in her interactions with him and in her innocent question about the state of the theatre industry and the confident handshake that she gave, isn't it interesting and curious? he took offence. In all those interactions, he took offence. Now, perhaps he's correct and she was extremely rude and very dismissive of him. Or could the fact be that he is taking after Harry and Meghan and taking effrontery when none should be taken, and taking offence when there was none given? He finds the insult, looks for the insult. He forgets the fact that he was given a knighthood by the Queen. He forgets the fact that he was awarded the Medal of Companion of Honour, signed off by the late Queen. Forgets that, which most people would give their eye teeth for. And he seeks out the insult. Isn't it curious? Some characters do this, the Sussexes being two of them, and perhaps that's why he has so much sympathy for Harry's plight and is Team Sussex by the look of it. Dame Ian's reaction is rather Meganian, if I might say so. There's only room for one queen in town, and that is Dame Ian McKellen, Queen of the Rings, Queen of the Fairies, and Queen of the King's Stool. He then goes on to tell us that Prince Philip was apparently deeply eccentric, and he suspects deeply unhappy. And I'm not going to disabuse him of that notion. He could be spot on. The late Philip wasn't really a character that was someone that I would gel with. Same with Charles, he says, clearly damaged. But he does actually go on to redeem himself a little at the end, because he says, as for Harry, he's probably not bright enough, or doesn't really have the right friends to really help himself. Well, at least he's noticed that, my dears. And he says, mind you, he had the pick of all the pretty women in the world. I hope he's got the right one. Oh, he's got a right one, all right, Dame Ian, he's got a right one. A message was issued from the Princess of Wales, who said, delighted to welcome Dwayne Fields as the new Chief Scout of the Kingdom. The Scouts is such an incredible organisation, teaching skills for life and making a huge difference to young people across the country. Looking forward to working with you, Catherine. And Catherine is joint president of the Scout Association, so congratulations to Mr. Fields. Prince William has also been collaborating with the long-running BBC children's programme Blue Peter to announce a new Earthshot competition for youngsters aimed at a focus on solutions for climate change. Oh, anything but tethered bottle caps. Please, Your Royal Highness, please. Anything but that. I did get a few comments in relation to my comments and my grumbling about those recycled caps in defence of them, and I take some of those comments on board, the ones that didn't lecture me. But however, my complaint really was how inelegant the solution was. And actually, I am a big fan of the elegant solutions that the Earthshot Prize has helped foster, such as the seaweed packaging, which has really been taking off. You know, this is my issue with it. Come up with elegant solutions. Don't solve one problem by creating dozens more. Very elegant solutions have evolved and been uncovered under William's leadership. So I'm hoping that they can rustle up a better solution for these tethered bottle caps. There are 5 categories, encouraging children to use their imagination to find solutions involving climate, waste, clean air and oceans. Queen Camilla has been back on busy business this week. As patron of English National Ballet, the Queen has made her first official visit to the ballet's Mulryan Centre for Dance, which is currently celebrating its 75th season. After watching rehearsals for the company's upcoming performances of Nutcracker and Akram Khan's Giselle, Her Majesty met members of the ballet's Elders Company, their performance group for over 55s. The Queen also had a special tour of the costume atelier, where she met the people responsible for creating and maintaining the dancers' wardrobes. She was divine in bespoke Anna Valentine in that gorgeous powdery blue that looks so good on her. She wears it so easy, akin to Dorothy Gale at the Emerald City Beautician's Salon, where they can even dye her eyes to match her gown. Ha! Jolly old town. She paired the dress with Chanel cap toes and her Van Cleef & Arpels ballerina brooch. And as Eventide drew in, it was time for a family affair. joining the rest of the Parker Bowles clan, where she was reunited with her ex Andrew at the launch of little Tommy's book Cooking and the Crown, Royal Recipes from Queen Victoria to King Charles III by Tom Parker Bowles was launched at the Audley pub in Mayfair, and they were joined by Camilla's daughter Laura, her sister Annabelle Elliot, and Andrew's niece Louisa, and a sprinkling of glitterati such as Cho Minardi, the editor of British Vogue. The Queen wore a monochrome polka dot dress, and little Tommy is a great writer, as you know, and much admired the food critic. And his book gives away the secrets of many royal recipes, including the King's Wet Martini, not sure about that, Queen Camilla's porridge, a curry enjoyed by King George V, and the bombe glacée Princess Elizabeth pudding. Sounds like a lot of fun, doesn't it, my dears? And he really is a very good writer, so probably worth a look if you're into that sort of thing. The book launches on the 26th. The Queen also hosted an anniversary reception for British Aid International at St James's Palace for 100 guests. Queen Camilla has been patron for this charity for 2 years, and she was inspired to set up her own book club during the pandemic. Book Aid International has sent over 37 million books to schools, libraries, prisons and refugee camps since its inception in 1954, and she was peacocking in a green number, looking fabulous, and she spoke from the heart to the great and good about the very big difference made to people's lives by the accessibility of books. It was time to sachet and chanter for Zara Tyndall, as she's been modelling for Musto again as brand ambassador, and she really does make a spectacular model. It's got to be said, my dear. It's got to be said. She is a model, daughter and granddaughter, and she can certainly sell the garment, my dear. She certainly knows how to do it. Turn to the left, turn to the right. And at the Burley Horse Trials in Lincolnshire, she competed in the dressage event on her beloved gelding, Class Affair, in her smarts and her jodhpurs, and later on she was seen in navy suede by Fairfax and Favour and whisky-toned sunglasses. Divine. There's been glimpses of the Edinburghs abroad, this time at the Paralympics, cheering on Team GB in Paris, hoisting the Union Jack with pride. The Duke is patron of the British Paralympics Association, and the Duchess, patron of British wheelchair basketball. And she was wearing a Susanna silk tea dress in marigold print. I didn't care for the espadrilles. And she met with basketballers, possibly a few basketeers as well, at Bercy Arena, where she gave pep talks and royal encouragement. And just today they were captured in Versailles at an equestrian event, with Sophie wearing a daisy print and gold hoop earrings, and Prince Edward sporting a cap and red pocket square. Doesn't all seem well in the world and a little more cosy, knowing that the royals are back on duty? Yes, we've missed them over the summer, haven't we, my dears? Well, they are back in business, back in town, staying fruity, always on royal duty, and always channeling the royal spirit, and I encourage you to do the same, my dears. See you next time. Thank you for tuning in, and if you wish to send me a treat, you can visit my tip jar, or if you're broke, you can blow me a kiss, and that will be acceptable. Thank you, my dear. I'll see you next time. Ta-ra and toodle pip.